today I'm reviewing the Cosrx Vitamin C 23 Serum, and really quick, I just want to say, purchase these products with my own money. I'll never waste your time with sponsored videos, so if you want to help support the channel, check out nobsbeauty.com, check out my Patreon community, or click on the links below. I know it's a wild shirt I have on today. It's shiny, I love shiny, but it almost feels a little suffocating, so I don't know. Anyway, and I love the boat in the background of today's video. Kind of gives me a little bit of PTSD thinking about what happened on Monday with the propeller and the rocks. Propeller and rocks don't go together. I learned that one, although I kind of knew it, but didn't really learn it until Monday. So, okay. So, they say this is a highly concentrated serum that fades acne scars, brightens the complexions, revitalizes dull and dry skin, brightening serum packed with 23% pure vitamin C. Formula is infused with antioxidant-rich vitamin E derivative to amplify the effects of the vitamin C and sodium hyaluronate to maintain the skin's moisture levels. Also contains Allantoin to soothe skin irritation. This is their third vitamin C serum in as many years. In probably the last 3 years. Last year they released a new formula. The year before they had the Triple C Liquid Lightning. Now we're onto this formula. I don't know why they don't just like make it fresh, but it doesn't seem like they're determined to like make it fresh. They'd rather just, it seems like, do one batch and then just create a new one the next year. So anyway, okay. First criteria is packaging on the Sarah score scale. I am not a fan of the dropper bottle for packaging. I'm just not, especially for vitamin C serums, because vitamin C, or when you're using the traditional L-ascorbic acid, not derivatives that are more stable, it is very, very, very unstable, especially when exposed to light and air. It's just the second it's exposed to it, it starts to degrade. So anyway, so I'm not a fan of a dropper bottle for it, although it seems like a lot of the brands that use alternative packaging, like Allies of Skin or Timeless, just haven't had any good luck with finding a packaging for their vitamin C that doesn't leak everywhere. So there has to be some way to make it work. I don't know. So anyway, so not a fan of it. Not the best way to package vitamin C, but seems like no one else has really found a much better way to do it up until now. So okay, in terms of denatured drying types of alcohol, it does contain denatured alcohol. It's in the last half of the ingredient list. It won't be a huge issue for most people. It's going to be a smaller amount. However, for those with very sensitive skin, combining the denatured alcohol with high amounts of L-ascorbic acid, it can increase the chance of irritation. So keep that in mind. For most people, not going to be a problem, but for some people with very sensitive skin, especially with such a strong active like vitamin C, it could be an issue. So keep that in mind. There's no fragrance in this, but it does have a little bit of that vitamin C smell that you get with some products. It's not terribly strong compared to others I've tried, but it is kind of there. So if you just don't like that smell at all, then probably not the one for you. Okay, the manufacturing location for this one is Korea. So no issues with that unless we're talking about sunscreen. So let's do a quick pH test because we know vitamin C works best if it's going to be in a water formula at a pH of less than 3.5. And water is the first ingredient, then ascorbic acid 23% is the next ingredient. So it's going to be best absorbed into skin if the pH is a little bit below around 3.5. So I would say that's pretty darn close. Probably is right around 3.5, so no issues with that at all, so that is very good. Sometimes if you get it higher than the 3.5, it's not going to be as effective and not as readily absorbed into the skin. And if the pH is so far below 3.5, then just the chance of irritation increases the lower the pH gets. So there we go. Okay, so ease of use. So after cleansing, I would recommend applying a couple drops of this to your face, perhaps your neck. I don't apply it to my neck because my neck will scream if I do that, but do apply it to your face. I recommend, if possible, using it in your morning routine, because if you use this, then you apply your moisturizer and then your sunscreen. This will help your sunscreen be more effective because vitamin C helps fight off UV damage and protect the skin from environmental damage and things like that. So it smooths over skin pretty easily, absorbs pretty quickly. Doesn't feel greasy at all. I haven't had any issues using this under moisturizers, with the exception of the Drunk Elephant Protini, which I found isn't unique to this vitamin C serum. Almost any vitamin C serum I use that over, it will foam up, and even some exfoliants. So So yeah, so very easy to use. It's kind of a slightly tacky finish, but not terribly so. But if you're going to use sunscreen over it, it's not going to be a big deal either. And then they also recommend to finish this bottle within 2 months of opening it due to the vitamin C in there. If you can store this in a fridge when you're not using it, it will help prolong the antioxidant benefits longer than if you just keep it sitting out at like room temperature. So cool, dark is what vitamin C likes. So if you can do it with that, do it that way. That's the best way to prolong it. Although, I mean, once you open it, you want to start finishing it. You don't want to open it, test it for a day, and then move on to something else and then come back to it a month later. It's not a good idea. Okay, so I'll talk about the timeline of... so I'll just talk about right now. So if you're going to open this up and start using it, finish it. Don't mess around with it. Don't set it aside for a week or two. I was impressed. I thought this would oxidize pretty fast, and it hasn't so far, so that is a nice thing. I believe the last one that Cosrx came out with, maybe it was Purito, like I opened it, used it, and like the next day it was like I could tell it was bad. I believe that was the Purito one, but kind of a similar thing with Cosrx. It just didn't last as long, and I feel like this brand isn't as committed to manufacturing this product regularly like it needs to be. I have a feeling they do a one run and done, and then next year will come with a different version instead of creating it, formulating it, and then manufacturing it like every other week and selling it fresh. I just don't think they do that. I don't think that's kind of their style. If you want something more fresh, Geek and Gorgeous is great. Timeless is better with these things. But Geek and Gorgeous, I know they make theirs very fresh. I've never gotten a bottle from Geek and Gorgeous that has even been slightly yellow. It's always very fresh. So if that is a huge thing for you, check out Geek and Gorgeous. I will link to that one below. So there's certain brands that just don't. I loved Tarte. I think that was their Truth or Dare vitamin C serum. I picked it up right when it first came out. It was wonderful. Finished it, went back for another bottle a month or two later, and I could tell they hadn't manufactured it since, and it was already old. And so anyway, so that is a huge deal with vitamin C. If you're going to manufacture it, do it regularly. I mean, just don't do a one run and done thing and then sell it 6 months later old. But it seems like what a lot of brands do. Okay, so antioxidants and beneficial ingredients. Obviously, we've got ascorbic acid, vitamin C, one of the most studied research antioxidants used in skincare today. Brightening, anti-acne, skin protecting. Typically, the most research done on vitamin C is done at a concentration between 5% and 20% at the upper limits. I don't know that there's going to be much extra benefit for that extra 3% that they put in here, just because it hasn't really been researched. So I don't necessarily think that makes it better than a 20% vitamin C serum or even a 10%. It does increase the likelihood that you're going to be irritated by it, that's for sure. So do know that. Vitamin C is great. It fades pigmentation, dark spots, especially when you use it under sunscreen. It boosts and helps it work better in protecting your skin. It's very unstable, oxidizes very quickly. So it's stable when the pH is 3.5 or less, or in silicone or waterless type formulations. Vitamin E works great with vitamin C and also helps increase the photoprotection, as well as ferulic acid. There's no ferulic acid in this one, so I'm not exactly sure. It would have been wonderful if they would have included it, because it's another great antioxidant that works super well with vitamin C. Okay, then we've got Panthenol, which is a skin-soothing and anti-inflammatory ingredient. Then we've got ethyl ascorbic acid, which is a vitamin C derivative. It's promising, but there's not a ton of research on it. It's thought to have the same brightening and antioxidant properties as ascorbic acid, but it's more stable, but there's not enough research on it. I mean, L-ascorbic acid, it's proven to help with collagen production, which helps you firm your skin and things like that, but these vitamin C derivatives, there just isn't enough research on them to prove that they're good for collagen, brightening, and things like that. It's most of the research that's been done on them has been done by manufacturers trying to sell the ingredient, and there's just not a lot of independent research on it. So, okay, then we've got Squalane, skin identical ingredient. We've got caffeine, antioxidant, may help with puffiness, things like that. Caffeine is, some people are very sensitive to it, so be aware of that, because especially with the strong amount of vitamin C in here, if you're very sensitive to caffeine, I think that perhaps could increase the likeliness that you're going to notice those issues. So We've got sodium hyaluronate, which is a humectant. We've got adenosine, a good cell communicating ingredient. We've got acetylglucosamine, which is amino acid with skin brightening potential. We've got Gardenia Florida fruit extract, which is a skin conditioning ingredient. And interestingly, it is possibly a source of ferulic acid, which is a good antioxidant, but I would have rather them just thrown in ferulic acid than the Gardenia Florida fruit, but whatever. Okay, then we've got Allantoin, which is a skin soothing ingredient. We've got Tocotrienols, which are skin conditioning and UV protecting ingredient. We've got vitamin E, which is a good antioxidant. We've got palm oil, kind of a controversial ingredient these days. Should do a video on that. I'm going to remember that. It's just controversial, and Cameron's going to make a note of it. It's just controversial in the way it is produced and the way they make it and things like that, and the ways, the people, the resources that they use to get it. So it's controversial. So, okay, then we've got arginine, a skin identical ingredient. We've got niacinamide, antioxidant, skin brightening ingredient. We've got safflower seed oil, which is a good emollient and antioxidant. Then we've got sunflower seed oil, another good emollient. We've got licorice root, skin conditioning ingredient. Then we've got carrot, which is a skin conditioning ingredient. Carrot is an interesting ingredient based on what parts of the carrots they use, how they use it, and things like that. And then we've got Beta-Carotene, which is a skin conditioning ingredient. So a really nice list of exciting ingredients in here. So a high amount of vitamin C, but some other nice ingredients. Nice that they threw in some skin soothing ingredients to offset the chance that your skin would be sensitive to it. So, okay, in terms of animal testing, Cosrx is cruelty-free, so no issues with that. The price, I will say, I did not realize this until I was writing this review, that this is not a full-size bottle. This is 0.7 ounces, which is about 2/3 of the size, and 20 milliliters. So usually you get 30 milliliters in 1 ounce, so they cut this by 1/3. The retail price of it's $22, so it's not really expensive. And, I guess if I think about it, I'd probably rather have a smaller bottle, be able to finish it before it goes bad, than have a 1 ounce bottle and have it go bad before I even got a chance to finish it. But it is important to note that the price isn't quite apples to apples what you think of compared to other vitamin C serums, so keep that in mind. And in terms of the it factor, probably for the average person, I probably wouldn't recommend this if you're somebody that's used a lot of vitamin C in the past. You don't have sensitive skin. Your skin isn't sensitive to denatured types of alcohol. It might be one worth trying, but if you're newer to vitamin C, this is not the one I'd recommend starting out with just because of how strong it is and a few of the other ingredients. To be honest, I don't necessarily believe that this 23% serum is going to be much better than the 20% serum. There just isn't research to show that it is. Perhaps it might be, but I don't see that Cosrx mentioned any research on why the extra 3% makes a difference. So, but overall, it's a decent one. So with a 10 being a perfect score, I gave it a 7. It's a decent product overall and pretty darn affordable and cruelty-free, which is all awesome. So, anyway, interested in hearing from you guys if you've had a chance to try this. Their third incarnation, I've tried all 3 of them, and the first one is still my favorite out of all 3 of them. So, anyway. Okay, leave a comment. Love hearing from you guys, and stay tuned for more tomorrow. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.